How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday. So we're doing the day after, and the world's in crap. It's pretty bad, but we're trying to find a ray of sunshine and hope. But right now, it's looking very clear that the major concerns we're facing is a discontent and disconnection between the civilian population and the military. Because the military is now in charge of everything, they have to do a lot more citizenry work, and you have the debates and wondering about lacking of resources, and do you give in to the needs of people who probably have genuine concern, or do you just brush them off and ignore them when it's your duty to protect them? We saw that Hibiki did his best to try and find a resolution to the matter, but it was kind of like putting a band-aid on a it's like trying to use a band-aid to fix a leak in a dam. It's not just going to go away. The problem is going to persist. You just made it look a little better for just a second. So we're going to have to see how that all plays out. And she very much believes in him and his team, but he's still going to have to, he has a lot to learn. And yeah, just has to figure out how to circumnavigate all this. So yeah, I don't know what to expect today, but let's just jump in and see what kind of challenges we're going to be facing. So yeah, there's not much else to go for it. And here we go. Yep, this view ages like a fine wine. Somehow the night skyline today doesn't feel quite as bright. Must be all the stuff running through my head that's bringing me down. It's a beautiful sight, sure, and one of the few products of human wisdom that remain in this world. But every silver lining has a cloud. Stateless. Does that mean they don't have a country? They're not citizens? That could be a big, if they're stateless, it could be immigrants that haven't been given citizenship yet. It also could just be people who don't have jobs. Right. Worse.
スラムというか、それ以前の無法地帯と言った方がいいかもしれません。
なるほどな。
命の保証なしというわけですか。
やれやれ、こんなことでとんだ時間を食ったもんだが、注意さん、あんたいい男だな。若いのに見どころあるよ。
Like how the old man even admitted at the end, wow, I was able to pull the wool over your eyes. You'll get better. Yeah, Seattle is one of the last metropolises on Earth. Not everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows in a city as vibrant as this. That's why I need to start planting roots as soon as possible to grow familiar with the city. It's the only way to make sure I can protect the new Japan here in Tacoma. That's how I really feel. And yet, once I came face to face with the reality of the city, it got me thinking, what if this is just me acting sentimental? What if this place I wanted to protect doesn't exist? I couldn't stop thinking about it. All the way up from the hangar to the top of this hill. Maybe I'm simply chasing a dream, blinded by my own illusions? Nah, I know that ain't true. The Major's words would have been enough to wake me up from the dream. On the contrary, now I'm more driven than ever. I saw firsthand how ugly reality can be, and in spite of that, my resolution hasn't wavered in the slightest. So how come I can't stop torturing myself over it? I remain the same man I was yesterday, a soldier, ready to do whatever it takes to defend my countrymen. I've been playing this game long enough. Why am I doubting myself now of all times?
Hibiki?
I don't know, because you're at a leadership position now, more than just a squad commander?
Erenか? 驚かせるなよ.
She actually looks really shocked here. Not only she's very in control, she actually looks confused.
驚いたのは私の方。まさかもうこの場所を見つけてるとは思わなかったわ。
Oh gosh. I like how we're gonna have little moments with everybody.
響が知っているということは、当然ユズカも。
Oh yeah.
ああ、俺はあいつから教えてもらったんだ。ユズカは楠本軍曹から聞いたらしい。ほら、整備班の。
おお、まあこんないい場所、秘密にできるとは思っていなかったけど。
I'm surprised they don't have more people up here, actually.
その気持ちわかるよ。初めて見たときは言葉を失った。
ここ、お気に入りの場所なのよ。宇宙から地球を見下ろしてる気持ちになるから。
God, I want to do that. I mean, the circumstances for why she did it, like, obviously it makes sense, but man, I want to go to space so bad.
そうか。元機動降下兵団だもんな。
ええ、
俺は宇宙に上がったことはないんだけど、やっぱいいもんなのか。
そうね。美しくはあったわよ。宇宙から見た地球は。
Man, though, what must it look like from now? Like, wouldn't it be crazy to be able to fly up there and see, like, what happened to the whole planet, like, from that scale? Like this, but the whole planet.
ユーラシアがベータに占領されようとも、緑が失われようとも、地球は青く、美しい星だった。
Yeah, look at the it looks like the caps are just gone. Interesting.
ともすれば、そこが過酷な戦場であることなど、忘れてしまいそうになるほどに。おそらく、大解放後の今でも、大きく様相は変わってしまっていると思うけど、それでも、青く美しいでしょうね。
I'd have to agree with that.
そうか。そいつは、俺も一度ぐらい見てみたかったな。
She's thinking on a completely different scale. Everything must appear so small after being in space. Could that be why Ellen's so easygoing? Maybe I could be like her after spending some time up there, simply laughing all my problems away because of how insignificant everything must seem in comparison.
けど、そのためのリスクは高いわよ。
リスク？
Yeah, being an orbital diver. Like, you think like, well, we covered it before, but you think it's hard to survive on the battlefield like normally. Imagine having to drop from orbit onto live fire. Orbital divers have a survival rate of less than 20% per drop. So you got 100 divers in the first operation, and only 20 come back. Next time they drop, of those 20, usually only 4 survive, and if those 4 drop one more time, well, not a single one ever returns. Those numbers ain't a joke. There's a lot of risk, alright.
さすがの注意も、そのことはご存知のご様子で。
Yeah, like, if you haven't read the short story Chicken Divers, absolutely read it. It covers, like, orbital drop pilots and the statistics there. It kind of spells it out. Like, it says, like, a chicken diver, I think, is the one where they say I think it's, like, when they're going on their 5th drop. Because if they manage to survive the 5th drop, like, statistically, they shouldn't be alive. So it's like, yeah.
そりゃあな。そのくらいは有名な話だからな。しかし、さすがはねえだろ、さすがは。
すみません。でも生き残った機動降下兵の心情は、さすがの響きにもわかりませんよね。
Agreed. Go read that story. Do it.
そりゃあ、まあな。想像するしかねえわ。
If you're wondering where it is, it's in Photon Flowers, the collection of short stories. Plummeting towards Earth at terminal velocity, dodging lasers all the way down, only to rush headlong into the hive the moment you touch ground, then coming out the other side alive. Talk about an emotional roller coaster.
考え込まないでくださいな。ただの愚痴です。時々吐き出さないとうまく生きていけないんで。
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
ああ、愚痴ね。
Major Jinguji said something similar, about how it's important to speak openly about whatever's on your mind.
お近くにいませんでしたか？自分が生き残った理由を見失ってしまった人。
Yeah.
バビロン災害後は多かったですけど。
I know.
それは、そうだったかもな。
God, why? This is hitting so much harder now. Current events as they are.
愛する人を失った者。誰かを見捨てざるを得なかった者。不正な手段で生き残ってしまった者。
This is one of my favorite sad songs that they play, by the way.
生き残ってしまったということについての悔恨の念とでも言うんでしょうか。でもそんな気持ちも日々の忙しさに忙殺されて、やがて思い出さない時間が増えていく。忘れてはいけないのに。
Right.
久々に思い出したので愚痴ってみただけですよ。そうしないと自分が死者のことを忘却しようとしているんじゃないかと思ってしまうので。
And there's so many too.
八つ当たりみたいなものです。まあ、大した話ではないので気にしないでください。
Of course it's a big deal though. I mean, like, it's hard enough with soldiers nowadays facing like PTSD and other like psychosis breaks like, because I mean, being a soldier, seeing live combat in any capacity, it's super traumatic. That's the worst thing about like what's going on currently, is like regardless of the result of what's happening now, like you are traumatizing hundreds of thousands of people, and like that's just not something you can just get over. Some of us can handle it okay. Most of us probably don't, but make it manageable. And then there's the few who literally breaks. But now take the scale that we have here of an entire world, countries wiped off the map. Like, I'm guessing we're probably missing 9 out of 10 people, like, from Japan. And now it sounds like the US too, because the whole US got devastated in like so many terrible ways with the lack of oxygen and everything. Like, and that's probably being like open, like 8 out of 10 surviving in countries that could survive. It sounds like there are entire continents that just got effectively wiped out overnight. And those were the few continents that were still survivable, like, during the wars with the beta. So when you take the sheer colossal loss, like, can they cope with this? Like, is there any human who could actually cope with that and the knowledge of that and the situation that they're currently in and not be horrifically, under horrific, consistent mental strain? Like, is that even possible? I don't think so. Frankly, it's not even just the infighting that sucks about this time period. It's that if everything were perfectly peaceful and if the beta were completely gone at this point, like if boom, tomorrow they never showed up again, would humanity actually survive this, you know? Definitely couldn't survive as it is. Like there's gonna have to be a major adaptation. Policy is gonna have to change. Entire cultures have been not just uprooted but erased essentially. Like essentially we're gonna have to be starting from the ground up again. But like, and that's in the best case scenario. We're not even close to a best case scenario either. So like, what is this gonna turn into? What could actually like where are the good endings, you know? What could they even be? What would a world after the Babylon disaster that ends up finding peace and finding stability, what is that world even going to look like? I honestly am struggling to even picture one. And the best I can manage is tiny pockets of survivability being quickly overpopulated, fought over, and resources stretched so thin that despite the fact that the world's population is probably dropped to like under like maybe a few 100,000 people, like in the whole planet, like, I don't even know if they can make it.
Hibiki? どうかしました？
すまん。エレンは予想以上にヘビーな過去を生きてるんだなって思ってさ。
Should have known. Formal orbital driver and the defector on top of that ain't something you would call an ordinary life path, not by any means.
ヘビーな過去。ヘビな過去とは？
Hey, don't try and change the subject.
悪い。英語のヘビーだ。重いだ。日本語のヘビじゃね
え。日本語難しいです。ひらがな、カタカナ、漢字。おまけにクソイングリッシュまで混ざってやがります。
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue. Man, I want to learn. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I want to. Part of me at this point kind of hopes that I can just, you know, find a way that me and my family can find a job in Japan, and then I could just go and take lessons and be so immersed in the culture consistently that forces me to use it, that I could actually learn it in a timely manner and not have to spend a ton of money that might not even end up in anything useful being learned. But that's not a great way to try and like make sure you learn a language. Is oh, I have to go live there. But man, it certainly makes learning a language easier. I don't think you misheard. I think it's simply what your mind's stuck in the gutter, and the hatred for the English language. Your French heritage is showing, dude.
お前、本当に日本語達者だな。絶対ミオのより上だよ。つうか、どこで覚えたんだよ。
おお、雫は私のティーチャーの一人ですよ。
だから急に片言になるなよ、このエス外国人は。
日本語難しいです。よくわかりません。
Ellen, you're deflecting hard here. Shoot, she's playing with me again.
何がおうだ。あのな、お前がわからないのは日本語じゃねえ。日本人の人情とか、人の心の機微の方だ。人をからかうのは構わないが、もう少し加減を覚えろ、加減を。
人の心の機微？いえ、理解していますよ。響とゆずかの間の微妙なそれとか。
Yeah, because you two are just great examples of people who understand emotions.
だから、俺とあいつは。
What? What are you gonna say here? So much for a Japanese 101 mode.
響とゆずかは？
川柳で、俺はあいつに命を助けてもらって。
Sure. You know, even if you actually see it just that way, Hibiki, you're an idiot because she doesn't.
それを言ったら、雫と私は響とゆずかに命を救われましたけど。
Mm-hmm.
いや、だから、そ。
No, actually, that might just be it.
ねえ、大陸横断の話を聞いてもいい？
Oh boy.
は？
以前ゆずかに聞いたときは言葉を濁されたの。それだけではなく、響に聞くこともやめるようきつい口調で言われたわ。
Naturally, with Ellen, that guarantees she will. She'll just try and do it tactfully. When did this happen? Whatever, it doesn't matter. It was bound to pop up at some point. People seem to think we're some kind of heroes. It'd be weird if she wasn't curious at all. I'm just as interested in Ellen's past, and it ain't simply out of idle curiosity. She's part of the team, and when we're out there, I'm trusting her with my life. I'd guess she's thinking along the same lines.
ゆずかの言いたいことはわかる。でも、それを決めるのは響でしょ？
Ellen's got a point.
まるで子離れできない保護者のように振る舞うゆずかには違和感を覚える。
Oh, I think the unsettling part is that she is also in a lot of, like, post-trauma pain here.
それは、あいつは保護者ぶって世話を焼くのが好きなんだよ。前からそうだった。確か、1、2歳あいつの方が年上なんだよ。それで。
そのぐらいのことは私にだってわかる。確かにゆずかはそういう気質だけど、私が思うのは、その性格がゆずかの本心を隠してしまっているんじゃないかしらってこと。
Yeah. I don't think I get on the protective side per se, but I absolutely hide my real emotions behind, like, trying to be kind and thoughtful and, like, I use... If I'm honest, it's a kind of manipulation. Yuzuka and I, like I'm a real example of what this character is portraying. It's a type of manipulation. It's a kind form of manipulation, but it is manipulation all the same. You control the narrative around yourself. That's ultimately what manipulation is. It's controlling your narrative, manipulating people and the way they see you and the way that like the way information about you is kind of spread around. That's essentially what manipulation is. We have a negative connotation to it because you can use it as a power of negativity easily, and it can easily be weaponized. But there's not malevolent, peaceable means of manipulation too. And yeah, Yuzuka and I are very similar in this regard. There's another reason why I really like her as a character, because I see a lot of myself in her. So for me, and I don't know if you can relate to this particularly, but I invite you to think about it, because for me, I can't be 100% honest. I don't think any of us can, because we all harbor thoughts and feelings that just aren't proper and aren't right and aren't fair, you know? Jealousy, anger, depression. Like, these are emotions we can express maybe in bits and pieces, but a lot of us can't go full into it because it would be burdensome, it would be, like, painful for some, it could be even destructive, but you can channel that energy into something else. Yuzuka channels it into a protective field where she puts a lot of barriers up around herself and the people she cares about, but not only protecting them, but also kind of instigating this whole approach where she loves gossip, remember? She keeps her ear to the ground. She pays attention to the information that's bubbling around and what's going on around her, and then she attempts to control it. She's actually gone to Ellen and specifically told Ellen, look, I don't want to talk about this, but make sure you don't talk to him about it. Like, she's like, please. And because Yuzuka is such a nice, good person who's probably already gone out of her way to help Ellen feel comfortable, to be friendly with her, and to be good with her, she uses that kind of social debt, you could say, or social balance to cash in, saying like, look, do not bother Hibiki. Because if you bother him, it's going to be bad. But that also controls her story, because she probably had to make choices on that trip that she's not proud of, and she saw things that she doesn't want to think about, and if Hibiki faces it, she's going to get dragged into that too. So, like, that's kind of a small slice of how that manipulation works. She's being a great friend to Ellen and being a good person with her, but then she knows when to apply a little pressure and ask for a social favor. That's the biggest difference. It's choosing your battles. It's knowing that, like, when you... This is going to sound super manipulative, by the way, but it's very true. It's great when you can genuinely give to people. But the frank honestness of it is that when you are good to other people, when you treat them right, when you give them favors, and you willingly are able to do things like spot a few dollars, give a ride when somebody needs something, being willing to be relied upon, it can seem like sometimes you get taken advantage of. But if you know what you're doing, you can then store up a kind of like investment, you can say. You're investing in a future where this individual, if they were to hear something untoward about you, some kind of rumor or something that's that's not favorable, that they're more likely to discredit it because they think so highly of you. In fact, you can often get these people to be really open and tell you when somebody's saying something about you that's not very favorable. It gives you an insight into what's going on. It also allows you to ask for some favors like this. Favors that, especially because the ones that might be the most important, might seem like shallow. Like, oh, just don't talk about this with this person. You know, it seems easy enough. You know, we got plenty to talk about. Just don't talk about this subject. And by kind of having a social back credit, an investment in a relationship, you start to kind of twist the way that they interact with you and those around you, and because you built up some kind of value with them, a value of a bond, and you use the bond to kind of manipulate the way they treat things and situations around you. This is congruent of all friendships. Like, just because you might not actively participate in this doesn't mean it doesn't happen. In fact, it's a big part of what being in a community is. It's about being willing to sacrifice some of our needs for the behalf of others, and that they sacrifice some of their needs on behalf of us. Like, that's the definition of community. The manipulation I'm talking about is when you are cognizant of enough of this and you're able to successfully use it. And I know I have. I'm not a master of it, but I have been able to be successful enough. Successful enough that I was able to correct bullying issues in high school without actually having to confront things myself. I was able to do it enough that I was able, in my senior year of high school, I effectively skipped like probably 30, 40 days worth of school, but with effective teacher permission, where I got to the point where I could just, if I just didn't feel like going to a class, I could just walk up to a teacher and say, hey, I don't want to go to class today. Here's an excuse. And they'd be like, okay, see you later. And they would even mark me like present in class, but, you know, let me be away. One of the darker sides, one of the few times where I've done something I deeply kind of regret, was when I was able to manipulate the way other people saw somebody around me in a relationship means, like in an emotional relationship way. As I got to know this particular guy, I realized, first of all, that he was a bit, I thought, was sleazy. The thing is, that's my personal opinion. That doesn't mean I have any right to do anything that I did, but I got the impression that he was kind of a sleazy person. The thing that really got me, though, was that my crush at the time, the person whom I really felt like I loved, had been, like, they had told me in confidence that they really liked her and were thinking about, like, going out with her. And I knew from her that she thought he was cute and would probably be interested in that, like, at least pursuing that potential relationship. And so I took control of the social obligations around me, because we had a lot of similar friend circles. and I manipulated the information. I got the right people in the right spots around him. I gave them access to information that they probably shouldn't have had access to. Insights that, most of the time you'd want to keep private. I knew people whom he was interested in, not just my friend, but other people whom he also found attractive. And I slowly, by inserting in the right places in conversations, drawing connections between him and other unsavourable people and actions that have been done by others, and drawing similar parallels, I started to slowly unravel his own, social circles in a way. And I don't know if it worked, for sure. But I do know that though none of those girls ever asked him out, and that there started to be rumors that I didn't have any part of, that started going about around him. And he came to me in confidence when all this started happening, expressing how frustrated and sad he was because he felt like people were starting to just make assumptions about him and capitalizing on little mistakes that he'd made as, in being in high school, you make mistakes. And that they were that these things were being drawn out into the light and extrapolated, and that people were just who knew things that he had done or said that he regretted, but now they know about him. And I know that at least some of it was me. And I think what happened is I ended up instigating a kind of a snowball effect that kind of went out of my control. And I don't think it had any truly lasting problems, but it definitely disrupted his dating life. And he was upset by it. And the really sad thing is that he came to me as a trusted confidant to tell me how much things had gone south for him. And that's when I knew what I'd done was really wrong. Of course, I didn't have the guts to admit it. And I still don't know if I could, because I was young and dumb, motivated by selfishness. But you can see that that's the same coin. It's the same tool that I would use to try and just to calm a bully down and to make them back off a little bit. It's the same tool I used to make friends and to help bring people together. I have friends today who have come to me and thanked me, saying that one of the best friends they've made, people who were like their best man and best woman at their weddings, were people they met through me, because they were people that I thought would work, that would be good for each other, that had a lot of commonalities, and I ended up being a social catalyst for them to come together and to become so important in each other's lives. Like that feels so great. But the same tools, the same skills that I learned to do those types of things in these small social circles, is these little nudges here and there, and just being able to kind of know how to drop information or how to kind of sift through and kind of understand pretty well how personalities might mesh or not mesh. I used that as a weapon one time in my life, and I still regret it to this day, because it's not right. It's not right to do that. And the thing is, you can see people doing that on the big political scale too, and it terrifies me because it works. It doesn't always work, but what really scares me, I think, is that when you have somebody who doesn't have a record or a history, because a lot of times these types of manipulation circles fall apart when you pull out some dirt on somebody. But I genuinely think it could be possible that somebody could have a record that's so relatively free of actual controversy that it makes them almost immune to cancel culture. You can never be truly immune from it per se, but when the worst thing they can pull out of your history was something to the effect of you didn't you weren't a part of a high school organization supporting LGBTQ rights, or you never spoke up against what somebody was saying when they were saying something that was racist. If the worst thing is that you just tried to avoid a situation that was politically charged and potentially polarizing, that's not much weaponry to use. And so what if we get a politician who knows how to play the manipulation game, but also understands the implications of their own actions to the point where they really keep themselves in check and don't actually make any big mistakes that are cancelable? And then they don't have a conscience either. Like, get that magical combination together, and you have, like, a genuine terrifying monster. I don't know why I'm going down this route. I guess I'm just in the mindset of, like, what can people do with the right amount of power? And, like, look at the pain that they can bring about. Because I look at what I did when I've been very much resistant. I had one grudge against one person who had a crush on somebody who I had a crush on. And I essentially unraveled a lot of his social, like, networks. I broke up his friendships. Either directly or indirectly. It did happen. And I feel like I have to have some responsibility for that, even though it's not something that could ever be traced to me or proven to me. And even if I did confront him and say, like, hey, look, I kind of ran a antisocial campaign against you, like, I don't even know if he'd believe that. He might be upset, maybe we wouldn't ever talk again, but I don't know if he'd ever, like, really take it to the point of, like, saying, like, oh, you wronged me here. And that terrifies me a bit, because I wonder, like, it makes me terrified of what could I be if I didn't have disgust at that type of thing. If that hadn't thrown me so badly that I kind of stepped away from trying to play these types of games. Because it's one thing to have a little bit of, like, socially responsible social manipulation. It's another when you start using it as a weapon. So, Yuzuka. Why does this all tie to Yuzuka? I think she's doing this kind of banking idea. This idea of, like, building good social cred with individuals and then utilizing that to ask for little favors that slowly manipulate the situation around herself into an idealized state. It's not perfect and won't handle crises very well, and Ellen's kind of proving to be, like, not quite a stable element for her yet. But even then, look how delicately Ellen is treating this. Like, Ellen's very much, like, a fairly blunt person, but she's treating this with care because she knows Yuzuka doesn't want Hibiki being upset, and that matters to her. So even though it's not exactly what Yuzuka was hoping for, and the outcome is still along the lines of what she was aiming for, which is really interesting if you think about it. Anyway, I promise a longer video today because I went on a big rant, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are about this. Like, is social manipulation a good thing, or is it always bad? Because I definitely made a pretty big case of why it's bad, but for that one case, there's been so many things I do think I've seen that have benefited not just me, but my friends and the friends that they've made in the little tiny subtle ways where, like, I'm not, like, the focal point of any of it, but being able to understand the dance enough to be able to make it work. I don't know. I also just might be tooting my own horn. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I actually don't know what I'm talking about here. But I think I've seen enough evidence to say that that's not the case. So, anyway.
でも、もともと日本人は本心を隠すのが上手だから、確証が持てなくて。
まあ、それは確かに戸惑うだろうな。
That's also not an answer, Hibiki. I keep forgetting Ellen's a foreigner, with that fluent Japanese and all that. Then she suddenly goes and says whatever the heck's on her mind, no filter.
実際のところは、そんな風に本心を隠さなきゃいけないようなことがあったの？
Yeah, I just don't know if it's exactly what you're thinking, but I understand. But, like, here's another manipulation here. She's kind of subtly implying, like, I wonder if I should trust her, but she's doing it in a way to try and make Hibiki be like, all right, no, I'll just tell you what's going on, so you don't, like, think ill of my, like, companion.
なかったと言えば嘘になるな。要するに、あったよ。俺たちがどんなルートを通ってきたか知ってるか？
いいえ、そこまでは。
俺もアメリカなんて横断業するまで踏み入れたこともないから、土地の名前なんざよく覚えてないが。
I hope it's enough that I can kind of keep a mental picture. And there's a good reason for that. My memories of those days are a mess, all jumbled up.
ハドソン湾の
Hudson Bay.
塩砂漠のふもとの工業地帯。あそこで俺たちは負けた。
So that should be, like, I'm pretty sure that's New York City then.
完膚なきまでに叩き潰されて、命からがら逃げ出すことになったんだ。
Dang.
強化外骨格を使い、乗り捨てられた車を使い、そして最後は徒歩だ。
I'm amazed that they could get those cars to run. I mean, they obviously didn't like die of like oxygen deprivation, or at least it wasn't severe enough to kill them right out. But a lot of cars, if you drive them like high enough up a mountain, they'll actually struggle to like cool themselves, and like they'll run hot and have trouble getting enough air to keep the explosions going that keep the engine running.
なるほど。
いくつもの町に立ち寄った軒並みゴーストタウンだったな。だけどいろんなものが残されていたんだよ。
Uh-oh. But were there people there?
そうだな。人間のサガとでも言うべきものがな。そして、
Oh no.
俺たちもそこにいろんなものを置いてきてしまったんだ。
So maybe they were there, but they were so far gone, they were more like animals.
それは、
いつか話せると思う。でも今はもう少し時間が欲しい。
わかりました。
ユズカは、あいつはあの時間を俺に振り返って欲しくないんだよ。
And again, it's like, so I was talking about all this manipulation, but it also just has, I think, a simple answer here. Why would she want to manipulate so he doesn't reminisce? Because he broke. He lost hope. He was wanting to give up, just curl up and just accept death. Like whatever happened out there eroded at his spirit so much that eventually he was on the brink of just giving up. His captain or like commander, whoever it was, they did give up eventually. And I think that was what ultimately broke him in the end. So she alone had to like kind of carry him through, probably practically unwillingly on his part. And so she doesn't want him reminiscing because she doesn't want him to go back to that. She feels like she was able to kind of bring him back from the brink. And so she doesn't want to risk that loss.
そのためなら多少強引でも厳しくても構わないと思っているんだ。それに甘えているつもりはないんだが、そうするのをやめることもまた俺にはできない。
And so he still depends on her. And that's another reason why their relationship probably won't progress, is because right now it's not a romantic relationship at all. Like it has the foundations of what could become one, but I think that was from before. Now it's a situation of survival for him, and so it's not even going to be something he's going to actively think about. I doubt he's thinking about romance at all, because right now it's like, can I wake up in the morning? You don't really have time for a romance at that point, because there's nothing Yuzuka cares more about than this.
だからそれがっていうのは実際に見ていないものの言葉だってことなのね。
Interesting. I wonder what she was gonna say.
言わなきゃいけないのかもしれないとは思う。部下を預かる身としてこれは問題だと思う。でも
Yeah.
それでも大切にしておきたい二人だけの思い出。
あ？いや、そういうんじゃなくて。
If anything, I could live my entire life without thinking about those days ever again. They're memories I would love to forget, except I could never even begin to forgive myself if I did.
そう？なら口にしてしまった方が救われるのに。違う？
それはそうかもしれない。でも
I don't know if that's it though. My impression is also just like, I don't think he is ready to face his own memories. Like he knows they're there, but I bet you he's buried them into like a little cubby in his skull, like a little pocket. And like when he drifts close to it, he just ignores it.
ずっと苦しみ続けることになるわよ。響も、ゆずかも。それでもいいの？
Alan's got a good point here.
語れないことを胸に秘める。いつかそれが大きな重しになって自分自身を押しつぶしてしまうかもしれない。
そうかもな。
はあ、まったく羨ましいわ。二人とも仲睦まじくて。
いや、だから俺とユズカはそんなんじゃ。
だって二人で秘密を共有しちゃってるわけでしょ。大人の男と女が二人きりで何日も。
That's cute
そ
and
こで
all.
起きた出来事を。
That's cute, but like in those situations, I doubt it. I mean, like it's one thing. I could see it being like a source of like of relief and like taking comfort in each other in a time of crisis and disaster. But like, crisis is this extreme, this horrific. It's not like I think survival would take precedence, and like true survival isn't like where's our next drink, like glass of water coming from.
いやいやいや
It is cute to see him react though. Heck no!
別に照れなくてもいいのに、今は大人の時間、払わっていきましょうよ。でって聞かないって言っちゃったんだ。謝ったわ。
お前ね、俺とあいつは本当にそんなんじゃねえんだよ。なんだよ。
もし本当に何にもなかったらゆずかがかわいそう。
Yeah, exactly.
あ？
だってそれって女としての魅力がないって言ってるようなものじゃないの？
I thought the only creep would take advantage of that kind of situation to put a move on a woman, but could it be I've been wrong all along? Like, kind of. It's tough. Creepiness and romance are the same thing. It just depends on like the reciprocation. You know, like it's one thing to like if I have a girlfriend or someone I'm interested in romantically and I surprise her with roses, that's really cute. If there's a coworker who I like who barely talks to me and doesn't think of me in that way, and I walk up and give her a bunch of roses, that's really creepy. Like that's like the way it is. But like, oh man, dating friends is interesting because in some ways it's the most ideal because they understand a lot more about you and who you really are. You don't have to like, there's no pressure to really put on like a facade, which is the biggest crippling of dating, honestly, is the concept that like, oh, I have to be at my best. It's like, no, you really shouldn't. You should just be you, whatever that is, because the person who's right for you will accept you as you and find you attractive. But at the same time, when you have an established friendship, it's terrifying because you don't want to risk that. Because the things get like, so like, what if they say no? Does it just get awkward then? Like, can you still be just friends after that? Like, yes, but like, would you? Like, it's up to you, and maybe you wouldn't be able to get past that. Or maybe they say yes, and then things don't work out, so you become exes. Is that going to be okay? Is working with someone who was an ex, isn't that going to cause a lot of issues, especially if you both try and move on to different relationships? Like, that's going to cause drama. Like, can it work and be okay? Yeah, but like, there's a lot of examples where it doesn't. What if it's not a mutual breakup for one thing? Like, only one of you wanted to break up and the other one doesn't move on. That can cause so much drama. That can actually lead to some, like, criminal stuff. Like, people have been motivated to kill for that. Like, it's delicate.
しかもそれ以来のらりくらりとやっているんでしょ。大和なでしこの忍耐力には頭が下がるわ。
At least Alan's kind of being the voice of the boss, you know, just like, wake up, Hibiki, you idiot!
いや、ゆずかだって別にそのつもりはないはずだ。
あらあら、本当にそう思ってるの？
まあ。
じゃあ、試しに押し倒してごらんなさいな。キスを迫ってみれば？そうすればわかるわよ。
Yes, do it!
はあ？そんなことできるわけねえだろ。なんだよ。
ある意味では安心してもいいのかしら。
I guess it does kind of make it less likely he's a creep.
何が？
響のその余裕、生きることを諦めていたらとてもモテないものだもの。
なんだか無理に褒められているような気がするな。
No, actually, I think she's genuine here. I think she understands that whatever the secret is, that it's a big one, and that it's one that might be putting you on, like, questioning whether or not moving on, continuing on is a good idea.
いえ、本気よ。少なくとも私は響が隊長であることに安心できました。
Good.
そうか。
でも私は待つのは大嫌いなので、じっとしていたら死んでしまうわ。
Agree. I'd be terrified of things like progressing and not going in a good direction, but I hate waiting too.
はあ。それってつまり、エレンは生き急いでいるってことか?
She also might be hinting, saying like, look, if you don't make a move on her and she doesn't make a move on you, maybe I'll make a move.
あら、確かに。でもちょっと違いますね。
よくわからん。
In a world where life is so easily cut short, why should you even risk regrets? Maybe?
私にだって秘密はありますよ。そのぐらいはいいでしょ、小隊長。
まあな。
As long as it doesn't create a rift between us, I'm cool with Ellen and the others keeping some things to themselves.
それじゃ、私はそろそろ戻ります。注意はどうしますか？
あ？俺はもう少しここにいるよ。は
はー、一緒に降りてきたところをユズカに見られたら大変だもんね。
違うっての。一人で考え事がしたいんだよ。
わかってますよ。ここはそれをするには最適な場所。いろいろ悩んでください。では。
敬礼はいらねえよ。
了解。
Thick skin, huh? She's got me all wrong. I can't do what I have to if I'm dead. Simple as that. I gave up on life once. I haven't given it much thought since coming back, but quite frankly, I don't intend to die anytime soon if I can help it. There was a time where I was about to pack it all in, but Yuzuka saved me. That's why I'm here. That's why I made a vow to do everything in my power to protect this new Japan. I've never been entrusted with such a heavy responsibility before, yet at the same time, I feel like my spirit's never burned so bright. I've been experiencing so many new things, one after another lately. It almost feels like it feels as if life's given me a nudge in the right direction. Now my goals are on a completely different level than anything I've ever strived for, and so are the expectations placed on me. Could that be why I've been feeling the heat these days? I mean, it's just like anything else. Not like I ever wanted to have this much responsibility. Sure, I've been in charge of a flight before, but that's like night and day compared to what I'm responsible for now. That's why I can't help but feel like I'm an imposter sometimes. It's a real thing. Thing I've experienced before too, feeling like I'm standing somewhere and I don't belong, doing something I'm not qualified for, and surrounded by people who are far better qualified than me. God, that actually sounds like a lot like me. And just like that, I'm right back to where I started, completely lost.
もっとこの街を知れ。そして判断材料を増やせ。新たな自分の基準を作れ。いいも悪いもその心に取り込んで、そして考えるんだ。それでもここを守る意味を。
Protect and practice.
私のそばにいれば、嫌顔にも道は示される。貴様は己の基準と照らしながら、その上を歩くのだ。
Right.
時には後ろ盾を得て。時には矛盾に悩み憤り、そうして歩んでいくのだ。
I like that a lot. Like, this is a quote. I almost want to put this one on like a poster or something. Sometimes others will help you, and sometimes you'll struggle to make sense of the contradictions. Despite how frustrating it may be, you need to keep moving forward. That's a leader right there.
貴様にはそういう生き方を期待している。そしてゆくゆくはいつか貴様が私を超え、道を示す人間になることができれば。
Well, that's fine. There's no harm in admitting I'm lost. There's no harm in worrying over the future as long as I don't run away. This is uncharted territory, but I won't let that stop me. I'm determined to find my way here in this city, to forge ahead one step at a time. It's the only means I have to repay those of what we've lost and to make darn sure the ones fighting by my side live to see tomorrow. I will walk down the road without fear. I guess all I'll have to do.
天道、立浪の面倒はお前が見ろ。
了解。さあ、行きましょう、注意。
ったく、イラつくわね、クソったら。一人一人癒しない。
興奮など燃え、かえって都合がいい。
足代わりになるものがあるかもしれん。
Oh boy.
どうだか3000キロを踏破しようなんて頭がいかれた連中の前にそんな幸運が降ってくるもんかね。隊長、水をくれ。
割り当てを渡したぞ。
飲んじまったに決まってるだろ。なあ寺本、お前でもいい。頼むよ、一口でいいんだよ。
渡すな寺本。割り当てを渡したと言った。朝木、貴様はわがままを言うな。
そう、警戒してんのかよ。飲んじまったって言ってんだよ。もうダメだ。もうダメだ。もうダメだ。
朝木注意。
近寄るな！近寄るじゃない！近寄るな！近寄るな！近寄るな！
落ち着いてください。
お前、何持ってやがる！
これはただの
私とやろうってのか。そうか、とうとう正体を表しやがったな。
違います。怪我の治療をしないと。
殺す。やられる前にやってやる。人間のふりなんかしやがって。そうか、お前があれを。寺本隊長。
Oh boy. Oh boy. I can kind of see why that wasn't a great Fitch, man. I've got a guess. So I think he was in a stupor because he was needing help. She started to attack Yuzuka because of going crazy and like needing resources. And I think in his haze, he kind of snapped and like went to help her, but I think he might have literally ripped her to pieces. Oh boy. A broken world full of broken people.
注意開けてください。注意聞こえますか？
That's a voice. Yuzuka? The back of my head's throbbing.
注意答えてください。注意
Yuzuka's calling for me. I better get up.
注意。
近寄るな！近寄るんじゃない！近寄るな！近寄るな！近寄るな！
down, calm down. You're safe. You're safe here. I'm in Seattle. These are my quarters. Everything's fine now. I'm okay. Take a deep breath. Don't make her worry about you. Pretend everything's alright. For a poker face now, Hibiki.
なんだよ、朝っぱらからうるせえ。
What? What the? What happened?
バカ野郎！それはこっちのセリフだ！
大丈夫ですか？
大丈夫じゃねえよ！そいつで叩き殺されるところだったわ！今さら隠しても遅えよ！なんで俺がお前に命狙われてるんだよ！
Okay. I've never seen a picture that's so good at, like, absolutely not being what it's all about. It's obvious why she has an axe. But this picture, isolated, which is now absolutely the thumbnail, it's gonna absolutely make her just look like a psychopath. So too late to hide that. Could have waited after breakfast. At least let me have one meal before you decide to chop my head off.
命を狙うだなんて、私は悲鳴のような声が聞こえたので注意を助けようと。
斧を人に向けて振り下ろしても救えないと思う。殺すことならいっぱいできるが。
Yep, yep.
これはなんでもないです。なんでも気にしないでください。
Just pretend it didn't happen.
いや、朝っぱらから部下が斧を持ってたら気にならない上官はいないだろう。
いえ、気にしないと思います。山に芝刈りに行こうとしただけですから、よくありますよね、そういう話。
Yuzuka, no, now you are sounding like a psychopath. You're supposed to say, I was coming to smash down the door because I thought you were in danger. What is this, the Dark Ages?
とにかく事情を説明しろ。いまいち状況が飲み込めない。
朝妙な声で目が覚めまして、それが隣の注意の部屋からだと気づいたんです。
それで
慌てて飛び起きてドアをノックしたんですけど、全然反応がなかったので。
なるほど。その消火用の斧を持ち出して扉をぶち破ろうとしたわけだ。
Yep, yep, yep.
まあ今にして思えば少し過激だったかもしれませんね。
Just a skosh. A little my butt.
まったくよ。
だって注意が。
いや、だけどな。はあ、俺は大丈夫だから心配するな。
夢を見ていたんですか？あの時の。
That's surprisingly a good guess. And again, if I were screaming in my sleep, there's not much else I could be dreaming about.
あの時ってのがどの時を指すのかわからないが、まあそうだよ。なんかいろいろごちゃ混ぜにな。でも覚えのない光景だったから、きっと途切れた記憶の断片なのかもしれない。
Oh boy.
アサギが何かに怯えていた。でもその後大きな物音がして。
Oh boy.
注意。無理に思い出さなくていいですよ。
She's like, don't remember. Don't do it.
ああ、頭がズキズキする。一体あいつは
I wonder
何に怯えてたんだ。
I wonder if she activated, like, you know the hypnosis stuff they breed into the soldiers to help them deal with crises? I wonder if she activated some of that to potentially try and wipe his memories away. And that's why we're getting this staticky sound here. And like that zoom in on her mouth. What exactly did she say? Like, oh, sorry, wrong. Over here. There we go. Gosh darn it. There. There's no need to force yourself to remember. Like, what if that's a key phrase? Like, why it zooms in on her mouth? Feral dog? Another survivor? What? No, it was you.
俺 肝心な時にお前たちを守ってやれなかった。一人勝手に心を閉ざして、その挙句。
いいんです。
あ
あれだけのことがあったからそれでいいんです。そうでなければ注意を。
But is it though? It's obviously eating him from the inside.
注意を止められなかった。それはあなたのエレメントであった私の責任です。だから命に変えても注意を。
すまなかった。もうよそう。
She always starts blaming herself whenever I have one of these nightmares. I gave up on life, but Yuzuka didn't leave me behind, even though she was at death's door. She had nothing to atone for. Whatever debt Yuzuka thinks she owes me, it's been long settled. Not like that ever stopped her. She's tried her hardest to look out for me, to protect me all the way until the very end. Now it's my turn to pay her back. I'll become a man who's worthy of staying by her side. I won't let her bear the burden alone. It's about darn time I started carrying my sins.
心配すんな、ユズカ。俺は大丈夫だ。
注意。おはようございます。ちょっと朝から何してんのよ。
Back to this.
あら、意外に大胆。なんかあったんだよ。大和なでしこの忍耐力も限界だったみたいね。
Oh man.
何かしら。なんでもないわよ。ねえ、響。
Oh no. Ugh.
注意。
Uh-oh.
エレンと何か
Uh-oh.
あったんですか？
Oh dear. Maybe her with an axe isn't too far off of the Yandere model. Oh no. She still has a weapon.
というわけでユズカはね、夜な夜な斧を持って宿舎の周囲をさまよい歩いてる。
Beautiful. Look at this. Look at this. Ah! My bad.
またまた。少尉は冗談ばっかり言って。小声でね。貴様を真っ二つにしてやる。頭をかち割ってやる。ってつぶやきながら。ありえない。本当です。私も目撃しました。嘘。本当に？本当です。寝ぼけてなんかいません。斧を持ってました。じゃあ本当なの？でもどうして？実は
She's just over there angry.
シャーマンの血を受け継いでいるのよ。嘘！エレンちゃん、シャーマンって何？霊能者とか霊媒師って言われるような人のことよ。幽霊を追い払ったり、その逆に他人を呪ったり。本当に？かつて除霊に失敗したご先祖様が悪霊の呪いを受けてしまったのよ。そのせいでユズカの体には生まれながらにして。ちょっとエレン少尉、適当なこと吹聴して回らないでください。回ってなんかいないわよ、そんな面倒な。回ってくれる人に話してるだけ。
Perfect. Yeah, she's like, I can't be bothered with this, but she'll do a great job.
同じですよ。仙道少尉、実は私このところ肩が重いんですよ。何か見えたりしませんか？それは単なる肩こりです。まったくもう、私には幽霊なんか見えません。適当なこと言わないでください。あら、じゃあユズカが斧を持っていたのは別の理由だったっていうわけ？それは。 ひょっとして強引に誰かの部屋に忍び込もうとしたとか？
Oh, fetch. Calling it out.
なんで
Oh, gosh.
立浪注意に予売ならぬ朝倍しようとしたとか？
By force.
やっぱりお二人は、しかも朝とかって大胆。
Alright, Kusamoto. I like her. She's cool.
あれはそんなわけありません。でも斧でドアを壊そうとしたんですよね。はいって違います。やっぱり。ああ、違う、それは違うのよ。ちょっと聞いて。
Aww. Her straightforward personality backfired on her big time. Well, you reap what you sow. And on that note, better start keeping the door unlocked at night. Last thing I want to have is my subordinates arrested for property damage. Not like I have valuables for people to steal anyway.
みんな全然聞いてくれないし。
Man, Yuzuka hasn't changed a bit from Kyushu. She's still dependable to a fault, but also incredibly easy to tease if you know which buttons to push. An easy target if there ever was one. Now that brings me back. It's been a long time since I saw a bunch of peeps just fooling around like this. Maybe this is where I should step in, but it'd be a shame to cut this short. Let's leave them be for a little while. It's too entertaining. Get the popcorn. Nothing wrong with having some fun while you can. It's especially important to cherish the moments in dark days like these.
そうだ、立浪注意。注意なら本当のところ。
Oh no. What? Me? They're roping me in now?
まあ斧を持ってたのは事実だな。
立浪注
He's not wrong.
意。ほら、楠本軍曹、嘘じゃなかったでしょ。いい加減に信じなさい。本当だったんだ。怪奇、不女子の呪い、もしくはいけない朝掛少尉様。
I like those references. Dawn of the Lieutenant or Fatal Axe Attraction. I actually like the Fatal Axe Attraction. That's good.
おお、
Ooh, that actually might be a good title for this episode.
あなたネーミングセンスはあるわよ。で、どっちがお好み？はい、私は呪いがいいです。私は朝掛けの方かしら。
Oh, there's that. Oh, uh-oh. Hang on. Here comes the axe again.
だちねー。立浪注意。まさか注意にまで裏切られるとは思ってもみませんでした。
いやだって消火用の手斧を持ってたのは事実じゃん。
Come on, this is just a little teasing between friends, superior officer and all. I'm not dense enough to get in the way. Just play along, Yuzuka.
私本気で心配したのに。
That's true. I mean, okay, maybe it's going too far now. Ah, crap, she's getting mad for real.
それは分かってるって分かってるけどさ。
分かっているならどうして
Alert, alert, time for strategic retreat.
あれ神宮寺少佐遅いな。ちょっと呼んでくる。
Would you look at the time? I gotta go and do the thing.
注意、待ちなさい。
I just bumped into something roundish. Oh no! What could it be? Oh, whatever this is, it's pretty soft. This man is a talkaroo through and through. I wonder if it's a cushion of some sort. Oh. Who runs hands front? Oh boy. I mean, you know, when fates allow, when the stars align, you know, sometimes you just gotta roll with it, eh, Jiguji, eh? I'm gonna die here.
立浪
何
Feels pretty nice to touch. Let's give it another squeeze. He is Takaru! What happened? If Takaru died, he reincarnated as Hibiki.
お気に召したかな立浪注意。
Wait, I've heard that voice before. And the bouncy sensation.
そろそろどいてくれるとありがたいんだがな。
Don't tell me these are Major Jingushis! Oh, fetch!
失礼しました総員整列第17小隊立浪以下3名総員異常なし全員揃っております
He's on auto mode. If he starts saying his serial number, like he's preparing for torture. Now again, what a monumental F up. I should apologize again. Wait, should I really? Like, is that gonna do me any good?
元気が良すぎるようだな注意。
申し訳ありません
Yeah, my alarm bells are ringing all right. Oh man, this time she's going to go mad dog on me for sure.
闊達にとは言ったが、よもや貴様からこの手の相談を受けるとは思わなかったぞ。
No!
いえその
ぶつかった後も必要に手を動かし続けるその貪欲さは買うが、発揮する機会と相手を間違えているようだな。
Oh no. I couldn't help it, okay?
上官として恥ずかしくない行動を心がけてくれ。ただでさえ貴様は注目されているのだ。
はは失礼いたしました
ご苦労。楠本もいたのか。体調はどうだ。無理はしていないか。
She's real take it in stride.
お気遣い感謝です。おかげさまで問題はありません。少佐の期待も問題ありません。
So she's keeping tabs on the mechanic's health, huh? Seems like caring about your subordinates on a personal level comes naturally to a female officer. I'd better follow her shit. What was that? I think a good person who is a leader has a natural tendency to want to follow on the health of the people of their subordinates. Like, it's not a female thing. I think it's a good leader thing.
そうか。いつも面倒をかけるな。期待は後で確認させてもらう。下がっていいぞ。
Now go. You have so much good juicy gossip for the next like week.
はっ、失礼いたします。
Kyle Kusamoto big time, because if she were here, it's because she was here that I'm still alive and kicking.
さて諸君、本日の任務だが、フォートルイスアメリカ軍基地に行ってもらう。
All right. I think we're going to go ahead and stop here. A lot of heavy stuff, longer episodes than normal. I owe you that because I went on a super big rant. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty deep stuff in my past. Thankfully, like, it's like the most shameful thing I think I've ever, like, done. And I'm glad that's the worst thing I've ever done. Because I've been a very, very boring life. But still, it's, I don't know. It's kind of scary to know what you're capable of. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm not actually all that, but I'm supposed to be. But, like, even if I didn't, I know people can. And so it's important to be able to recognize that and to look for people who are manipulating, even amongst friends, because it happens. And also, especially yourself. Look how you might be manipulating situations and negotiating things to get what you want out of people and from people and such. But anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts about that, but most importantly, what you thought of the episode as a whole. I think we had a very good mix of lots of like serious thoughts, horrific horror, and then a bounce back of like hilarity. I do think that the transitions were pretty jarring. Like, it was like we went from 5th gear to 1st gear. So it was a little like almost being emotionally like shaken, but I think it's on purpose. But yeah, now we're going to be continuing on and learning more about what the heck happened in Hibiki's past. I wonder if it's going to take going through all the parts to figure out the whole story, or if we're going to get a good portion of it in this first part. So I'm curious to see about that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to the patrons who are helping make the content even more possible and accessible. This Friday, we'll be doing a rap party for Mamiya. So if you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend you watch the series. It's a fantastic one. And there's more to come in the future, it looks like. So it's definitely something to kind of get excited about. So hopefully we'll be able to see more of that story. in times to come, but I'm going to be doing a wrap party Friday, probably in the evening Eastern Standard Time. I'll be posting the official times in the Discord and probably on the channel itself, just in case you want to attend and ask me questions directly. I usually do it as a live stream where I'm like engaging with the audience, and then I'll also plan to possibly announce the next title we're going to be covering, or if not, I'll at least make it maybe hints at what we're going to be doing. Patrons, keep in mind I'm going to be asking you directly to help me pick what the next title is that we're going to be covering on the channel. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for those of you who are staying to the end and listening to all this rambling. I appreciate your time here. You guys are wonderful, and I hope you have a great day, and until the next video watching me, I'll see me next. I'll see you there.